Hi, welcome today. Today's lecture is on journalizing and posting. I hope you can see this board okay. There may be a few extra notes one needs to take because of the limited board space I have. So what is the journal? The journal is the book of original entry. What does that mean to you, the accountant? It means that's where you start telling the story of the business. The business story starts here formally with recordings. Now, of course, there will be source documents that back up these entries. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being highly important, a journal rates a 10. So I expect you to know the journal quite well. Please ignore some of the reds here as they are just to emphasize points. The first entry, or let's go through the rules of journalizing. Journalizing, of course, is recording in the journal. What is the first step one would want to know about with regards to, say, some event that happened? Well, that would be the date that the event happened. So we will go down here and put in the year 2014. You only have to do that once in the current year. And then the particular day, May 1st. We always, in journals, then list our debits second and our credits third. So the debits will be listed first here in the description or item column. And so we got two of them, and we put those right below one another. If there had been 20, they'd all go right along this line here. So cash and computer. Third thing we do is put in the dollar amount, 10,000 in 5,000 in the appropriate column, in the debit column in this case. Since we need to know or be able to see at a moment's notice that a credit is, of course, different than a debit, we indent the credits for ease of viewing. So we see here accounts payable for A company is a credit, and we put the 3,000 in the credit column. Capital stock is lined up right below the A in accounts payable, and we put in 12,000 over here in the credit column. For college accounting, that would be DOE, capital. So for college accounting, please note that instead of capital stock, that'd be DOE, capital. So again, first thing, the date. Second thing, all the debits lined up. Third thing, all the credits lined up. And of course, putting the dollar amounts in their respective columns. The last thing you do is put in the explanation. Explanations want to be short and to the point. So for example here, I wouldn't want to go and say, started the business, opened a bank account at a bank on the corner of 257th and Stark. Jill was my cashier. Blah, 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 blah. All you need to do is say started business. If we need more information about that, we can go to our file with regards to the start of the business and look at all the paperwork there and gather whatever information we need. So we don't need to have long explanations. Keep them short, a few words at most. Between journal entries, we always want to skip a line. Now, first thing before I go to the next entry, make sure the sum of the debits equals to the sum of the credits. So always, in every journal entry, the sum of the debits must equal to the sum of the credits. Else, when you post to your ledger, which we'll talk about momentarily, you will be out of balance. So we skip a line. We date it May 2nd. A check is good enough. You can write in May if you like. If it had been May 1st, you could have gone check in check or check in one. That would be fine. The debit here would be rent expense. So again, that's lined up against the line in $1,000. We indent the C in cash below, the A and the C in the accounts above, and we put that over here. And in an explanation, paid rent. Now we could, if we wanted to, and some people do, is to put the explanation indented from the credit. So that is a possibility you may see in some textbooks. When we're done with that entry, skip a line again. Next one, in this case May 4th, we debit cash. We put that right up against the line, $600. We indent the S below the C in cash and the A in accounts payable and capital stock. And service income, $600, perform services. Again, explanation, short and to the point. So what is the journal? It's the book of original entry. This is where entries start. Well, what is the ledger then? It's the book of final entry. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's only a 1 in importance. So why is the book of final entry? It's because that we want to know our details for each account. So what is the ledger also? It's a book of accounts. And so it'll be ordered in the same order as our chart of accounts. So cash normally will be the first page. Accounts receivable might be the second, but we don't want accounts receivable to be 102. We want to leave enough room so as the business grows, we can fill in the blanks in between. So accounts receivable might be 110, for example. And then after that, inventory might be 120 and so on. So the ledger is the book of final entry. That's where the information from the journal is put. And we call it posting. So the process of recording in the ledger is called posting. So we have the name of the account here, cash 101. First thing again, date it, May 1st. The cash was $10,000. We put the J10 here because that came from page 10 of the journal. We put that there, the debit amount and the balance. We come back to the journal and put in account 101 to signify that that particular dollar amount was transferred to account 101 in the ledger book. So post references then are the last thing one does. Now let's look in the second entry to cash and see how we do that. So the second entry here on cash was down here. It was a credit. So May 2nd, J10 to signify that it came from the journal, page 10. A credit of 1,000. That means that the balance now in the account is $9,000. Always keep that balance up to date. We come back to the journal page and write in account 101. Always be sure, if you're interrupted for any reason, to write the number in here as soon as possible, because before you answer any phone calls or talk to anyone, because this number here signifies that something has been done over here. So putting this number in is actually more important than putting this number in, because if this is blank, we know we have to look someplace, and we can look up above to give us a clue as to where we might be able to find that. So always put the post reference in the journal first, just in case you are interrupted. Okay, so then we go down to May 4th. Now we've been doing these. First thing what we do when in the process of posting is to do cash. Then we did computer. Then we did accounts payable. We did capital stock, or do capital for college accounting students. We did rent expense and cash. And now we're on the third cash account. So in other words, we go down account by account. We don't do page 101 in the ledger first, then go to page 112 or whatever the next account is. We do it account by account down the journal, so we make sure everything is done and done in proper sequence. So cash year 101, May the 4th, it came from journal page 10, $600, balance now is $9,600, and account 101 over here. Then we do service income 401, and we continue on down the page for our postings. So again, the posting book is the ledger. It is the book of final entry. Now, why is it a 1 out of 10 as opposed to a 10 out of 10? Well, it's a 1 out of 10 because, and I don't know if I lost you or not, it's a 1 out of 10 because when you do your journals, most people nowadays use a computer to do their journal entries. Everything you see here has to be done on the computer. So that means that the journal is really, really important. But then when you're done at the journal, it says, are you done with the journal? And then you type in yes. Then it'll say, do you wish to post to the ledger? You hit yes. And guess what? All this information is transferred to the appropriate pages in the ledger at that time. You don't have to do anything. So the ledger now, if you're doing it via computer, is not nearly as important as it used to be. If you're doing it by hand, of course, the ledger is a 10 in importance. So again, journal, book of original entry, ledger, book of final entry, that's where the entries stop. And at this point, then we start drawing up our financial statements and so on. So look forward to seeing you on the next video. I hope this has helped some of you learn a little bit about journalizing and posting.